Hello viewers, welcome back to the Moose Mobile Auto Repair channel, and today we're working on a 2019 Honda Civic with the 2-liter engine. This is the K20 C2 naturally aspirated engine, and today we are going to be replacing the entire valve cover assembly on this because it's leaking. Now previously, when the customer used to go to the dealership, the dealer told them that the valve cover was leaking, and so you can't see it very well until you are underneath the vehicle. You can see that oil is dripping a little bit onto the passenger side drive shaft, and so you can see that there's a little bit of oil that's leaking. And so the dealership, they recommended probably a couple years or something ago to do just the valve cover gasket. But today I called the job a couple weeks ago. I told the customer that it's getting worse now, and so now is the time to do it. I'm going to be replacing the entire valve cover because the valve covers on today's engines these days are all plastic, and so that usually the plastic warps over time because of the heat, the expansion and contraction of the valve cover over time. So after so many years, it's probably best to do the entire assembly, because if you just do just the valve cover gasket, you may be able to get away with it for some time, but it will start to leak again after that. So you're best off to just do the entire valve cover. Now on this particular Honda, I got this valve cover directly from the Honda dealership. I think I paid roughly $300, which was my cost. I think it retails close to $350, and this comes with everything that you need to do the job. So it comes with the valve cover itself, the spark plug tube seals, and the seal over here. And so I read in the service information that you cannot individually replace the spark plug seals. If the seals are damaged, you have to replace the entire valve cover. So the valve cover comes in a gigantic box like this. It says Honda Genuine Parts, and a part number is right here, 12310-5BA-A01. So that's that. Before you start this job, you want to make sure that you're working on a cold engine. You don't want to work on this when the engine is hot. You want to wait for the engine to cool down first before you start. Now earlier I did make a previous video the last time I did the oil change service on this, so I'll see if I have that video, and I will put it up and show you on where the leak is coming from. It seems like that the valve cover in the back is leaking some oil, because you can see it on the intermediate shaft of the axle here. It's all wet, and you look at from underneath. I don't know if you can see that in the video properly, but there's oil that's leaking in the back where the valve cover is. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to remove the plastic cover on top and stuff. Remove the electrical connections and the hoses and stuff. There's a PCV valve here that needs to be transferred over, so we need to remove everything and then proceed from there. So pretty much everything is going to be a 10 millimeters, so you can use I'm just using a a long extension in a socket, deep socket, 3/8 drive. So remove the plastic. So once that's out, you can carefully to lift up the plastic cover. Don't mix up the bolts. So just make sure you put them aside. So now we can remove the oil dipstick out of the way and wipe it down. Now we need to remove all four ignition coils and connectors. So we're going to remove all of the coils and everything. So you need to push back on the tab here to get this harness out of the way. Get this out of the way. And we'll see if we need to disconnect this connector. To get that out of the way. Majority of stuff should be loose here. So the harness that clips into the valve cover over here. Trying to get everything out of the way as much as possible. There's a vacuum hose in the back that needs to be disconnected too. And if you want, you can disconnect the fuel injectors connectors if you want. It may make it a little bit easier, I think. But I'm just having a look as I'm doing this job as I go along. So for now, we're just going to disconnect the ignition coils. They're all 10 millimeters. So I'm just disconnecting all of the fuel injectors, connectors. Just one clip on the side. You can use a needle nose pliers if you want. If you don't want to use your hands, just to make it a little easier. And you want to be careful when you're pulling back on these connectors so you don't ruin the wiring on it. So that gives us a little bit more slack now to work around with and get this out of the way. So we're not going to have anything in the way. This harness goes all the way to the alternator and stuff, so I don't think it's necessary to disconnect any more things there. So we can put this on the side for now. Use a bungee cord or something to keep this out of the way, just to hold it in place temporarily. I'm just going to pull this out of the way so it doesn't keep on coming back and forth. We don't want that to be in the way when we're installing the valve cover, so that's going to keep things out of the way. So now we are going to disconnect this vacuum hose here. Vacuum hose. Just a small clip. I know that you guys won't be able to see absolutely every single thing on camera, but there's a hose here in the back, right here. It's not too hard to do. If you're having a hard time, you can try to spray some silicone spray and see if you're able to to get it off, but it's out now. So what's next? We have a hose here that needs to be disconnected. So I'm just going to take this bracket off first. Also a 10 mil, and get that out of the way. So now we're going to remove this hose clip. Trying to pull it out. The part of the PCV system. Trying to just leave this in the corner. I don't want to remove too much stuff, right? I just need to remove on what's necessary. You don't want to cause too much work for yourself. Disconnecting a whole bunch of stuff. So I just disconnected this too, just to get the air fuel sensor, oxygen sensor out of the way. What's left now? The PCV valve. I think this was replaced a while ago. And the customer just wanted to replace it as a maintenance item at the time. Should be okay. Seals and stuff. So we'll just put this on the side. What's left? I think we're just about done now. We are ready to remove the bolts, the 10 bolts holding the valve cover. There's 4 on this side, 4 in the back, and 1 on each side here. So totaling a total of 10 bolts. So when you do the valve cover, there's usually a torque sequence when you tighten them down, but when you remove them, I don't think it's going to matter too much, but when you remove them, I believe it's outside. Work your way outside and inwards, and when you install, work your way inwards and then outwards. But I checked service information. I need to see if they have a procedure. They really they summed up the procedures for the valve cover. They didn't put too much details into it for tightening the bolts, but usually you use like a crisscross or star shaped pattern to tighten bolts up after we're done. So anyhow, I'm just going to remove the valve cover now. 10 bolts in total. Everything here is a 10 millimeter, so it makes it easy to do this job. Just going to use a magnet to get all the bolts out. So when you are getting the bolts out, there's one bolt in the corner here, right here, that you need to take out, and you need to remove this harness out of the way. So you gotta take that out before you get the valve cover off, because on the new one you can see the left rear corner, it extends out, so you want to watch out for that. And all of the bolts are the same size, so everything is the same. There's a total of 10 bolts here, so everything, they're exactly the same size, so it's not going to matter if you mix these bolts up. Just make sure you keep the bolts for like the ignition coils and other stuff separate from the actual valve cover stuff. So I'm going to remove the harness off of the plastic. Get that out of the way. I may have broken that, so I may have to put like a zip tie or something. So you can squeeze the plastic, but whatever. So everything is free. I think you should be able to get the valve cover off now without too much trouble. Should be able to rock it back and forth. See if it comes off. If it doesn't come out easy, probably use like a pry bar carefully to lift up on it. There's a spot in which you can safely just carefully lift up on the pry bar without damaging anything. Just right here, I just have my pry bar lifted just on the edge of the exhaust, carefully to lift up with the pry bar. So you just need to be really careful, just in case if you are reusing this. I don't think it's recommended to reuse the valve cover, but you may be able to get away with it for some time, but eventually the entire valve cover would need to be replaced at some point. The plastic. So that's that for this. Sorry about the lighting here. You just need to make sure that all of the seals are on the valve cover here and not stuck onto the engine like this one here is stuck onto the engine. So we just want to be careful. In case if you are reusing this, you'll have to wash everything down with the brake cleaner or Varsol or something like that, and to install a new gasket. But we're just going to toss this out. We'll just save it just in case. So there's a seal that belongs here is stuck onto the engine over here, so make sure you remove that. You have to clean the surfaces and stuff after, and then just go from there. So now we have to clean up the surfaces and stuff. Also take note that there's a little bit of sealant on all four corners and where the camshaft meets. So there's a dab here, over here, in the back here, and over here. So you gotta make sure you use like a razor blade to get rid of the old silicone, and later we are going to apply a little bit of new silicone on each of the four corners, so that way it does not leak. It's imperative that you do this part correctly, because if not, then it's the new valve cover is just going to leak. So I'm going to start cleaning everything, and then I'll bring you guys back after that. Just make sure that you don't get any of the dirt inside the engine. You want to clean it away from the engine so the dirt doesn't get inside. One other thing to note here is that if you want to do a valve adjustment, you can, but it's not absolutely necessary to do it if the valve train is not noisy or giving any problems. But this vehicle only has 98,000 kilometers, so we're not doing a valve adjustment at this time. But anytime you have the valve cover off, it's probably a good idea to do a valve adjustment to verify if there's too much or too little clearance in between the valves. So there's a specific procedures to do that. I'm just feeling the rockers right now to see uh, which valves are open, which valves are closed, and stuff. Just having a look to feel. So yeah, so it's a good idea to do it if you know how to do it. But other than that, if you're not having any problems, it's just best to leave these alone. So now I'm just going to clean everything off camera, and then proceed from there. Uh, and I'm going to show you on how to put the silicone stuff after. You can use genuine Honda stuff, but I have the 1 minute Permatex, the high temperature stuff. So I'll show you that afterwards. So right now you can use like a razor blade just to scrape off carefully the old silicone, and I'll show you on how to apply the new silicone afterwards. I'm just using some brake cleaner to clean this off. If you need to get down to clean more of the surface, you can use like a 3M Scotch Brite sandpaper that's safe for aluminum surfaces, but you may just be okay just to wipe it down and using a razor blade carefully to not damage the surfaces. So before I scrape this off, there is some silicone here, so you want to put a dab here and a dab here after you are all ready to install the new valve cover. So now I cleaned everything off camera. If you're not able to clean off the silicone completely with a razor blade, I use a 3M Scotch Brite sandpaper to do that. So I did at each of the corners. So here, over here, and in the back as well, down here, and where the camshaft meets, and in the other corner here and back here. I think it's hard to see. So the cylinder head is a bit different on this design vehicle because there's a piece here that meets. So you need to make sure you put silicone here and down here on both sides over here on this side, on the right side. On the left side is different. You just need to put some silicone there and here in the back, and then that's it. So before I put the silicone, and what I like to do, I like to grab a cup or something and put the valve cover bolts in here with some brake cleaner, and I like to put like a shop rag over it and give it a few shakes just to clean the bolts free of dirt and stuff. And beforehand, if you're working on like a different vehicle in which there will be silicone on the valve cover bolts, you will need to use like a wire wheel to clean the bolts. So usually I just like to do this, give it a few shakes just to clean all the dirt and stuff, and then you can air dry it or just let it dry up before you reinstall these back. Just using an old cup that I had in the kitchen. So just use on whatever you have. So I gave the cup a few shakes. Now everything is all cleaned up. all this does is it gets rid of any dirt or debris that may disturb the doing the valve cover job. So it's just it's something that I like to do before I reinstall the bolts. So off camera, I had some problems with this. The right stuff, the red gasket, it's already dried up from inside. It was all sealed up. I cut it, and it's all dried up. I haven't even used it yet. This is like brand new, so I have to use something else now. I had something else that was open in stock. It's not the 1 minute stuff, but still the Permatech stuff, the red one, RTV silicone stuff. But for this one, you have to wait a little bit longer for it to cure before you're able to return the vehicle back to service. So anyhow, we're just going to do one final wipe all around, and then we will put some of the silicone. So we can use some brake cleaner if you want to do a final wipe. And for some reason, everything is breaking down on me or stops on me. Earlier, my other brake cleaner, the pump and spray cleaner, was not working. I'm not sure if this is in the lock position, so I'm trying to spray some brake cleaner so I can finish up the job. Go through everywhere and just do a final and last wipe just to make sure that there's no dirt or debris on the surfaces. Again, just do the best you can. Doesn't have to be 2,000,000% perfect. Just you have to clean it up well, but it doesn't have to be like, you don't need to be too anal about this. Just make sure it's really clean and it's good. But as long as you do your due diligence, you should be fine. Because if you don't clean the surfaces properly, then it's going to leak afterwards. So you want to make sure you do this job properly and once, and then that's it. So now I'm going to start applying the silicone. So make sure that once you apply this, you install the valve cover right away and start installing the bolts. You don't want the silicone to dry up. So I'm going to try my best here. So you don't need to put too much on this thing. You just need to put a tiny amount. I put a couple dabs here and there. The service manual states 5 millimeters in size. Dab there, a dab there, and a couple dabs there. This type of silicone is a little less viscous. It's not as thick as I wanted it to be. So the way it's applied is not it's not 100% perfect the way I want it. So, but anyhow, that's what you have to do. Apply the dabs, and then that's it. You don't need to put too much. It's just a little bit of silicone, and that's it, just to cover up the surface area there so it does not leak. So I need to hurry up now and install the valve cover. We're going to install the valve cover now. Just make sure everything is seated in properly. The gasket, I'm doing the whole valve cover gasket, so it comes with it already. So there isn't anything to do except to install the part. One other thing I forgot to mention is that you want to make sure you clean this area well just before you install the valve cover. Make sure you do this properly so you don't smear the gasket. I just hit my head now. The silicone getting all over on the gloves. And to push it down all the way because of the tube seals. That's why it's not seating in. So you have to get those bolts in and push down against on the tube. Make sure the tube seals are not So now I'm just making sure that everything was in properly. I just need to get everything, all of the bolts started. What you need to make sure of is that all of the tube seals are seated underneath the metal sleeve here before you finish the valve cover, before you put all of the bolts in. That's the tricky part. I've never ran across that issue before on vehicles with tube seals seated in. You gotta make sure that the seals are seated, and otherwise the valve cover will not go in all the way down. So right now I'm just putting all of the bolts in and just going to tighten up the bolts after that. Usually the bolts should be tightened up in 2 stages according to the service information or service manual. Just want to start all of these by hand first before I continue to tighten them down with a ratchet or the electric ratchet. I was just in a hurry because I'm dealing with wet silicone. This is something in automotive that I don't like to dealing with wet silicone, because you don't have that much time to install the parts. You have to be quick. The service manual says within like 5 minutes or something, but I think it's less time than that. You only have like as much as a few minutes to install this before it dries up. Otherwise, you will need to start over. To clean all the old silicone here that got onto the new valve cover after I'm done. Dealing with silicone just makes a gigantic mess. I try my best to be careful, but there's so much that you can do. I have like a thumb wheel tool. So I'm just going to hand tighten each one. and I'll follow torque specs after that, after I'm done. I just do this just to be on the safe side of things, you know. I don't over tighten these. These valve covers are sensitive, so I don't want to use an electric ratchet to run them through yet. We're going to put the oil cap here just for safety before I continue. I don't want to get anything inside the engine, so it's good to get these hand tightened first by hand evenly before you proceed with the tightening it down any further. So everything seems to be tightened down, so we are going to follow the torque specs. And so now we are going to torque this. The service information states to torque this in a two-step sequence. So I already did pretty much the first step, but it doesn't hurt to go more than 2 steps. 3-4 times is okay too, but it said it's recommended to do it in 2 steps. So the torque spec is 5.2 foot-pounds. I'm using a 1/4 inch torque wrench. This is an inch pounds. So every foot-pound is 12 inch-pounds. So it's going to be 12 times 5.2, which is 62.4 inch-pounds. I set this at 62. So we are going to torque this to 62 inch-pounds, which is the same, very close to 5.2 foot-pounds. We'll just work in a star shape pattern and tighten them in sequence. These don't need to be on very tight. So you can work in a crisscross fashion. You can start from the outside, work your way in the inside. I didn't see the exact torque sequence on these things, so I'm just gonna have to go by experience on this. 62 inch-pounds is not much. It's just more like hand tight. I'll just tighten them down. Just making sure everything is tight now. So I think that's good now. Everything is tight. Everything is tight. So now we just need to put everything all back together. It's just going to be the reverse of a removal. We need to transfer over the PCV valve and stuff. And that's it. The logo, the Earth Dreams logo is missing here. I don't know if that's transferable from the old valve cover or not. Earth Dreams i-vtec technology. I don't think I can take that out. So I think we may just leave it unless the customer wants it. I can try to pry this off and put it on here. So I don't know why they didn't include it on the valve cover, but anyhow, just verify everything is tight again, and then just reinstall everything back. It's going to be the reverse of a removal. I may put you guys on a time lapse here because it's just going to be the pretty much the same thing as taking it apart. So now everything is all done. I already reinstalled all of the covers. I installed a zip tie in the back for the, the harness for the zip tie there where the green connector is through the hole. There's a piece that sticks out on the valve cover, so I just did that. So everything is all done now. I just need the silicone to cure, maybe for a few hours or something. This particular one says I think you need to wait for 24 hours or something like that, but I don't think it will be absolutely necessary on this one. I can just wait for a couple hours or so and it should be fine, and that's going to be it. This valve cover is probably one of the easiest valve covers I've done so far. It's not too difficult. I've done this particular one the first time around now, and so it's pretty easy. It's relatively straightforward. There's not too much to it. It's just at the very end when you go to install the valve cover, it's a little tricky, but that's it. One other thing that I forgot to mention during the video is that when you're installing the valve cover gasket, when you install a valve cover assembly, you want to make sure that the gasket or the seal, the gasket, does not roll over, especially and particularly at the corners. It's very common to make that mistake. So you want to make sure that when you install the valve cover down, make sure that the gasket does not roll over, because if it does, it's not going to seal properly and then it's going to leak. Then you have to do everything all over again. So one last thing you need to note after you're all done to start the vehicle, just make sure you verify for leaks. Make sure there isn't any oil leaking. Go for a road test, maybe 10 to 15 minutes road test. Come back, double check for leaks again, and you may need to wait for the vehicle to cool down a bit just to make sure, and verify again for the third time to make sure that there's no leaks, because sometimes valve covers and other things can be tricky. So it may not leak right away, but it may take time if the valve cover job was not done properly, and so you have to watch out for that. So that's going to be it for replacing the valve cover gasket and or valve cover on this 2019 Honda Civic. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a like, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already a subscriber, and please don't forget to hit that bell notification if you haven't done so. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day and take care.